Welcome. We live in a world where pretty much all knowledge is just a click away. So that begs a pretty big question. What's a teacher's most powerful tool in the modern classroom? Well, today we're going to dive into the fantastic research of Dr. Sudandris S.G. to figure that out. We're talking about the art of feedback. So Dr. S.G. kicks things off with this really powerful idea. A person who teaches is a teacher, but a person who teaches and also gives feedback is a coach. Just let that sink in for a second. This completely reframes the job, right? It's not just about passing on information anymore. It's about actively coaching a student to level up their performance. And that brings us to the big challenge for every single educator out there today. I mean, think about it. When your students can pull up world-class experts on any topic imaginable on YouTube, how do you in your classroom actually stand out? How do you provide that unique value? Well, the research says the answer boils down to mastering one very specific and honestly super crucial skill. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the teacher's new value. Then we'll get into the science of feedback, what's actually happening in the brain. After that, we'll explore two ancient feedback styles that are surprisingly relevant today. We'll look at some real-world examples and then wrap it all up with your final takeaway. Let's get into it. All right, first up, the teacher's new value. We're talking about moving from being the subject expert to becoming the feedback coach. And Dr. G's research is crystal clear on this point. A student's affinity for you, whether they connect with you, it doesn't really depend on how much you know about your subject. It's all about the interaction. It's about your response to them. And that right there makes your ability to give effective feedback probably the number one skill for being a great teacher today. Okay, now for the really cool part. The science of feedback. We're going to look at understanding the brain's response system because feedback isn't just psychological, it's chemical. You see, that system in our brain is surprisingly simple. It's basically wired to be on the lookout for one of two things, and only two things, all the time: a threat or a reward. That's it. And this simple binary switch is what drives pretty much every reaction our students have to what we say and do. And this shows you exactly what happens. It's like a fork in the road. On one side, if our feedback is seen as a threat, the brain dumps adrenaline and cortisol into the system. That triggers fear and stress, and boom, fight or flight. The learning part of the brain just shuts down. But on the other side, if it's seen as a reward, the brain releases dopamine and serotonin, and that triggers motivation and happiness, putting the student in a learn and grow state. It's a huge difference. So, what's so important to get here is that triggering this reward state, it's not just about making students feel good for a moment. These positive chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, they have real physical benefits. Yeah, they motivate learning, but they also literally help build stronger bones and boost immunity. They turn learning from this stressful thing into a genuinely cheerful experience. Now, let's switch gears and look at a brilliant framework that comes from India's ancient Mamasa learning system. It neatly breaks down all feedback into two very distinct, very powerful types that any teacher can start using. So the first style is called mayatematam. Think of this as individual feedback. It's completely focused on the student as a person, their specific performance, their personal progress, and the exact steps they need to take to hit their own unique learning goals. And the second type is samajamatam. This is where we zoom out. This feedback is all about the student's environment, the context. We're talking about the society, the culture, the field they're eventually going to enter. It gives them the why behind what they're learning. So what's the right mix? Well, Dr. S.G.'s research points to a pretty clear balance. The vast majority of your feedback, we're talking like 75%, should be that individual, skill-focused mayatematam. And that's then supported and given context by the other 25%, the samajamatam. Okay. Theory's great, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. We've got some fascinating examples from warriors, cricketers, and classrooms that are going to make these ideas really click. Let's take the legendary cricket coach Ramakant Achrekar and his most famous student Sachin Tendulkar. The story goes that for every 4 days of coaching, 3 of them were spent working on Sachin's individual technique, his batting, his stance, all that stuff. That is pure mayatematam. But that fourth day, that was spent analyzing the international bowlers he'd eventually have to face. That's the samajamatam, the big picture thinking that prepared him for the world stage. You can even see this in ancient stories, like this one from the Mahabharata. It perfectly contrasts the two chemical paths. The guru, Dronacharya, he trained the famous warrior Arjuna using threat-based feedback, constantly reminding him about his rivals. And the fear, the adrenaline, it worked. It made him a great warrior. But he trained his own son, Ashwatthama, with opportunity-based feedback. And that confidence, that dopamine, it made Ashwatthama an even more skillful warrior. He mastered techniques that even Arjuna couldn't. Okay, but what about when you have to give negative feedback? How do you correct a student without triggering that whole fear response? Well, a teacher over in Finland found a really clever way to deal with a classic problem, students not paying attention, by using gamification. So here's what she did. It's brilliant. First, she just filmed the entire class session. Then, she played the video back for the students. But here is the magic trick. Instead of scolding anyone, she turned it into a game. If you lost focus, you were simply eliminated from the game. No punishment, just out of that round. And then she offered a prize, a chocolate bar, to anyone who could stay focused for 10 straight classes. See what she did? She reframed a negative behavior into a positive challenge with a clear reward. She motivated focus without using any fear at all. All right, let's bring this all home. We're going to wrap this up with a final actionable takeaway that you can literally put into practice in your classroom tomorrow. So here are the big ideas to hold on to. First, your main value today is as a feedback coach. Second, every single thing you say as feedback triggers either a threat response with adrenaline or a reward response with dopamine. Your job is to balance that individual mayatematam feedback with the big picture samajamatam feedback. And most importantly, always frame your feedback around opportunity, not fear. When you use that positive samajamatam, you can even foster a love for things like nature and culture, building a truly healthy learning space. So when it all comes down to it, it's this choice right here. Every single piece of feedback you give your students is going to trigger either fear or opportunity in their brains. Which one are you going to choose? And with that choice in mind, next time we're going to use this knowledge to tackle a huge demon in the learning process called yapanai. Thanks for joining me.